At RST writing. I'm trying something a little different this time. I'm going to do a little bit of a screencast here, so you'll be able to kind of see what I'm doing as I do it, so that you have something to model off of. We've worked on RSTs in the beginning of the year. We really haven't touched on it too much. We've done pieces here and there, working on various portions, specifically the video component. We'll do that in class, but for now, just to kind of look at an RST. So the reason we're doing this is because this is not only important for high school, but this is going to help you in the park, which is coming up around the corner. We will be completing an RST in class, definitely after chapter 9. So we will work on a sample in class tomorrow, but for tonight I just want to review very quickly some components that you should remember, go over some things that'll help you. So yeah, let's review. So take a look at the screen here. Okay, we have the RST review. Things just to kind of keep in mind. First thing, writing is writing. Regardless of the topic, regardless of this subject area, it's the same in social studies as it is in language arts or science or French or Spanish, obviously minus the language. You need to use documents in each and every paragraph. Now in an RST, we've talked about this, it's not your traditional 5-paragraph DBQ that you learned about last year with Mr. Helfingstein. It's kind of been whittled down to a 4-paragraph format. Okay, so you need to kind of reduce the amount you're writing, but at the same time make a strong impact. When you put your evidence into a paragraph, don't just reference your document, okay, quote it. So if you're looking at the U.S. Constitution and it's asking you to give evidence from Amendment 1, you can talk about the right to freedom of speech, okay, and quote it, because that's a direct quote from that amendment. Or from whatever document you're using, use a direct quote. If you reference it, it doesn't really make a difference. You must include a thesis statement. Okay, you do not go into great detail in that first paragraph, which is included. Okay, the thesis statement goes in that first paragraph. Okay, it's really important that you don't go into great detail when you start giving evidence. Just list it. Okay. We'll skip over the devil's advocate paragraph for now. We're not going to touch it at this point in time. When you're going through your document and you're going through your essay, if you're not sure about the specifics, okay, dates, names, places, etc., leave it out. Okay, you don't need to be specific unless you're absolutely positive. Okay, condense your thoughts into shorter sentences. I just mentioned that before. Okay, and don't do anything extra. Do exactly what the instructions are telling you, and you'll get a better grade if you do that. If you start to add things on and you're not following instructions, well, then that's going to become a problem. Okay, so what I want to look at now, okay, is kind of just a model of what we're going to look at in class tomorrow. Okay, so let's say our topic is this. How does the Constitution ensure that the federal government does not become too powerful? Now, we've spent an extensive amount of time working on the Constitution and how the Constitution ensures that the federal government does not become too powerful. We know that that's an issue because a lot of people were fearful of that. So the way it is structured is going to definitely lend itself to reduce the power of the federal government. Now, before you even read the documents, in your mind you should start brainstorming. Okay, what do I remember from Mr. Brahini's class about how the federal government's powers are reduced? Today, we talked about the 10th Amendment. Okay, we went into great detail about how the 10th Amendment ensures that any powers not given to the federal government will guarantee the rights to those states. That's one thing you can think about, one of the many. What else do we remember? In class, we talked about separation of powers. Okay, oop, spelling mistake, sorry. Not perfect. Talk about separation of powers. You have your 3 branches. Okay, each branch has a power in the lawmaking process. Okay, what else did we talk about? We talked about the idea of federalism, which is, in essence, the separation of powers. So you can use, okay, either phrase. All right. So that's the first thing you should do before you even look at the documents. Brainstorm. What do you already know? Because as you're writing, if you're looking for fillers, you take a look at your brainstorming list here, or what we could also call, okay, which I called this before, and I don't know if you remember this from Mr. Healthing Science class. So it's your laundry list. Okay, this laundry list is going to be key for when you're writing later, because this is going to definitely help you fill in any spaces. Because I noticed some of us in our writing don't necessarily get to 5 sentences. This laundry list will ensure that you get to those 5 sentences. So once you do your laundry list, you can then move on to looking at the documents. So as you're reading, you're looking for how the Constitution ensures that the federal government does not become too powerful. So let's take a look at a document very, very quickly. Okay, so here are a few documents. First one talks about the separation of powers. All right, we have the legislative branch, okay, we have the executive branch, and we have the judicial branch, all of which are the 3 branches of government, okay, and they're separated into multiple parts. Now this ensures that there's not one branch, either the legislative, the executive, or the judicial, that has all the power. It's split into 3 places. Now don't worry about these questions here. Okay, we're not really going to focus on those tonight. That'll be something else for class. Looking at another document. Here we go, checks and balances. We looked at that in class. There's another way that you see the power being split. Okay, the executive branch can check on the legislative branch can check on the executive branch, and so on. Okay, I'm not going to go over in great detail because we did that in class already. Another way, the Bill of Rights. You have 10 amendments guaranteed to you as a citizen of the United States. Okay, all of them protect you from an overreach of the federal government. We looked at it specifically, and I emphasized Amendment 10 because that ensures that the federal government doesn't just gobble up, so to speak, powers. It ensures that the states have the ability to get any powers that are not listed. Okay, so that's important to understand. The idea of federalism, again, talking about shared powers. See right here in the middle. Okay, powers, there are powers delegated to both sides, but then there are powers that are shared. Okay, that ensures that the federal government or the national government does not have all the power. It's shared amongst both. Okay, so those are just some documents. Okay, let's go back to the Word document here. So we need to come up with a thesis statement. Now remember, your thesis statement is basically the most important part of your essay. How do you come up with a thesis statement? Your thesis statement is, it's your opinion and it's not, because we've talked about in class how your opinion really doesn't matter, and I don't say that in a mean way, because you want to show evidence for the side you're choosing. So let's just allow it to be called the side that you are choosing. So we need to choose a side. We need to choose information to support our answer. So we need to think about, how does the Constitution ensure that the federal government does not become too powerful? Well, we looked at those 3 things. Okay, funny because, I cover those 3 things in class. Okay, and those are the exact same things that they talk about in here. Wow, amazing, huh? And what I'm teaching is actually making an impact here. Okay, so let's go back to the Word document. Okay, so we have our things here written already. So that saves us a lot of time. So we already know that the federal government has certain powers, but they are restricted. So what we can do is create our thesis statement. So what I want you to do is pause the video for like 30 seconds. And what I want you to do is come up with, in your own mind, what you think a good thesis statement would be. All right, so go ahead and pause it. Okay, that should have been long enough. Okay, you should have pressed play again. Let's think about, what is a good thesis statement for this. Remember, your thesis statement is answering the question without restating it. Remember, you're in 8th grade. You don't restate. You create your own statement. So taking a look at it. How does the Constitution ensure that the federal government does not become too powerful? So maybe we could do something like, the Constitution ensures that the powers of the government are split between 3 branches. those three branches are, well, let's back that up a little bit. Those three branches have the ability to check on each other to ensure that they are not taking too much power. I know, spelling mistake. Okay, we'll go back and fix that. Apologize for that. Okay, so that's a good start to a thesis statement. And then what you do is you talk about federalism, you talk about your three branches of government, which we kind of mentioned already, and you talk about the Bill of Rights. Now, don't get too specific. So if you're going to really focus in on the 10th Amendment in the paragraph, only mention the Bill of Rights here. Okay, don't mention the 10th Amendment. Okay, save that for your paragraphs, because within your thesis statement in your opening paragraph, which is here, okay, you're listing these things. 1, 2, 3 things. Okay. And then in the paragraphs, you elaborate. Okay. So you're going to elaborate in paragraphs. Now here you're only using 3 pieces of evidence, which is fine. You don't have to use a lot. Remember, you only have 4 paragraphs. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're using enough evidence, but at the same time, you're not biting off more than you can chew. Remember the structure for an RST. You have an intro, body 1, body 2, body 3. Sorry, thinking DBQ, apologize. Your conclusion paragraph. So we're used to having the body 3. That was last year. Okay. But now we've changed acronyms, and don't worry about DBQ RST. That doesn't make a difference to you. What you need to worry about is just reducing it by 1 paragraph. So you put, maybe in body 1, you put 2 pieces of evidence. And then maybe in body 2, you put 1 piece of evidence. However you want to split it, it's perfectly fine with me. It doesn't make a difference. Or if you find another piece of evidence that you can use, put 2 here. Or just keep it at 1. It doesn't make a difference. Now, don't worry about the devil's advocate paragraph. That's something that we will discuss in class, but not extensively. All right, I can already see that this video is kind of exceeding my usual limit of 10 minutes. I try not to go beyond that, and I apologize. But I just want you to have a clear understanding of what I'm looking for when we walk into class tomorrow. Okay, so remember, before you even look at the documents, brainstorm or laundry list, okay? Make sure you think about what you already know. I taught this in class. Or think about what you read in the newspaper, or what you read in a book, or saw in a movie, or in a video from YouTube, something. So brainstorm, that's your laundry list. And then work on your thesis statement after you see the documents. Okay, and you'll get a copy of something like this in class tomorrow. Okay, and we will work on it together, because I want you to be really comfortable so that after chapter 9 we can go ahead and we can work on an RST, and you'll do that individually, and it will be graded, so keep that in mind. Okay, if you have any questions, please just submit it to me via email, or just wait until class tomorrow. Hopefully this helped. I will leave this up for the remainder of the year, obviously, on YouTube. It'll be on my channel, and go back to as much as you need, or come and see me and we can sit down one-on-one and take a look at your writing. All right, guys, have a good night. See you tomorrow.